too. And yeah, so we've been having some sessions, and let me share the GitHub link, the YouTube. In case you just put in your Google build on Starknet, it will bring you some videos. This is our first session so far. But I know you can always catch up. Been having these sessions every Tuesday and Friday. Yeah. So for those of us who are going to join us in the bootcamp, this is sort of like a precursor. Yeah, and Starknet is part of the curriculum we shall be taught. So I just felt it well to extend this another opportunity to us. So because it's all about learning. So have we all heard about Starknet? Oh yeah, some are hearing it for the first time. Or guys, this is a free session. In case you have any questions, you can either type in the group chat, or you can unmute. And yes, Audra, go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to Starknet, I'm just hearing for the first time.
So Starknet, probably you've heard of Ethereum, right?
Yes.
So Ethereum is what is commonly known. Ethereum is like a layer one. Layer one meaning it's a base layer as a blockchain. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome, Vian. You're welcome, Keith. So Ethereum is like a base layer in blockchain. But Ethereum, it has some challenges. So the whole analogy of a good blockchain, it must be able to do three things, and that's security, yeah, settlement, and performance scalability. Yeah. So but Ethereum as a layer one has some weaknesses. Yeah. As a blockchain is slow in nature. So it being slow in nature, it cannot solve all these three things perfectly, which is settlement, security, and performance. Yeah. So it needs now the sole importance of L2s is to solve these problems. So Ethereum is a layer one, and Starknet is a layer two. Yeah. So the sole aim of Starknet is to scale or to improve on the performance of Ethereum. So that's the whole sole aim of Starknet. And right now, there are many layer 2s, and right now, in terms of scalability, in terms of speed, Starknet is taking the lead. Yeah, so that's why Starknet is an amazing technology in regards to blockchain. So in case you are wondering maybe what blockchain can I be able to consider building on as a layer 2, yeah, so Starknet is that L2. So in that you'll find that because when you're building a decentralized application, you'll find that when you build on top of Starknet, you pay 10 times lower transactional fee, lower gas fees, yeah, compared to other L2s. So that's how amazing Starknet is. And yeah, so this bootcamp is focused entirely on Starknet. Yeah, so this is the first session. We've had a couple of sessions. I've shared it in the group link. Maybe Emma, you can help me share the specific playlist for this bootcamp, which is build on Starknet bootcamp. So meanwhile, our channel is, let me share the channel right here. Our channel name is the Central Code. So that's our channel name. I've shared it in the group chat. It's the central code. So when you search for the central code in YouTube, you can find all our videos in regards to Starknet. Yeah, so any other questions at the moment? So before maybe I give a chance to ask any question. So in this bootcamp, on completion, you will be issued with a certificate, and this certificate is issued directly by Starknet Foundation, and it's a proof that you can you can program on Starknet as a blockchain. Yeah, so the bootcamp is internationally recognized. So as I was still saying, at the end of the bootcamp, this bootcamp for Starknet, built on Starknet, is ending next week. And yeah, so at the end of the bootcamp, you will be issued. Let me share some slides. And this is session 4. Yeah. So the previous 3 sessions are right on our Decentral Code channel, under the name Build on Starknet, as I've shared in the group chat. Yeah, so you can be able to follow along, and you can always share. And yeah, but trust me, for anyone who is interested in blockchain, Starknet is a good. And for our upcoming bootcamp, we are going to have it. So any questions at that moment for those people who have joined us the first time? Should we go straight? Yes, Ashraf.
Yeah, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, you're clear.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
I'm clear?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was asking, I'm not entirely new to blockchain, like I was taking some courses on Bootcamp, but the thing with Starknet, is it like a platform where we can, like a sandbox for blockchain, or is it like built to simplify integration with Ethereum?
So when I was starting, I explained something, that there is a blockchain trilemma. So Ethereum right now is a base layer. Yeah. So when you hear the term EVM, it means the Ethereum virtual machine. So there are some blockchains which are built on top of Ethereum, but Ethereum as a blockchain has some weaknesses. Yeah. So right now Ethereum has decided to focus on being a settlement layer, where other chains which are built on top of it can settle their transactions on the blockchain using it. So one of the weaknesses Ethereum is experiencing right now is performance. Yeah, you know, the blockchain by nature is slow. Yeah, so there must be an optimal solution on how to improve performance. Yeah, so and that's what Starknet purposely is solving. How do we? So Starknet all is doing is, compared to other blockchains which are L2s. So L2s meaning that their settlements are on Ethereum. So Ethereum being an L1, and L2s, for example, Starknet, and then there are various other L2s. Yeah. So Starknet is built on top of Ethereum, though to properly solve the performance issue, Starknet does not run on the EVM. So Starknet has its independent, its sole VM, and that's called the Cairo virtual machine. Yeah, but it does its settlement on Ethereum as the base layer. So have I answered your question properly? Okay, Ashraf, are you okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is our session 4. As I said, we have sessions. The previous sessions on our YouTube, you can follow along. So some people requested that I repeat some small concepts from last session. and that's what I'm gonna start with. Yeah, so once again, this is the Starknet bootcamp, and yeah, so just about the bootcamp. Yeah, so the bootcamp is, of course, is brought to you by the Central Code and Starknet Foundation. So the sole aim is to onboard devs to Starknet, and so it's a 4-week course. As I said, we are concluding it next week. Yeah, so after next week, so there are points which are awarded for attendance, and then there are points which are awarded for attempting of some quests. Yeah, uh, so I'm a teacher. I'll be doing this session, and then we are going to have another session, and then our last session will be on Friday. And then yeah, Vianney Kakoza, he did the session 1, and then we shall have an international tutor to do our session 6, which will be the last session. So yeah, so as I said, there are some points which are to be awarded. Part of it is that you'll be awarded some attendance, marks for attendance, and then also for those students who excel, they shall be awarded some points for excelling, for excelling. Yeah, so we have a scoring system where we give out quizzes, and these quizzes carry some points. So basically this is session 4. So the main resources we are using are the Cairo language official book. So in case you want to check out the Cairo language official book, let me share it in the group chat. Yeah, so I've shared it, and then as well we have that other. You can just put in Google Starklinks. So in case you want to, it's single R. Yeah, so in case you want to better perfect your blockchain skills on Starknet, you can check out Starklinks, and then you can as well check out Node Guardians. Yeah, so just to do a small recap, some people requested I do a recap on some bit of GitHub. Yeah, so they kindly requested me to do a small recap on GitHub. So I'm just gonna use a few minutes and take us through a small recap. So we did this in the last session, but I'm just going to repeat it for a few people. Yeah, so well, GitHub, first of all, GitHub is a collaboration platform. Yeah, so it's a collaboration platform for developers. Yeah, just imagine you're working on a development project, and you are all over various locations. So you can use GitHub for your collaboration. And so let me share with us something here. So you can just go to github.com. Yeah, so github.com. Yeah, so that's my profile right there. Yeah, so one more time. So when you're creating a new repository, you just click on new. Let me call this session 4 new. Yeah, then you give it a description, session 4 building on Starknet Basecamp. Yeah, then let me maintain it to be public. Yeah, let me maintain it to be public. So after doing that, So let me create. So now these are my commands which are issued. Now let me open my terminal. So let me make a directory right here. What was the name of my session for new? Change directory session for new. Start a new project in Starknet. All you need to do is just say scab. So scab is like the package manager, similar to Cairo, similar to cargo in Rust. So you just say, let me also call it session for new. Let me use that. So I've done that. Then I will just go right here, and then let me go ahead and to initiate it as a GitHub repo, I just say git init. Yeah, so now I've initiated it. So in case I do any changes in it in my work, I will just, to first add whatever is there, I just come and say git add all. Yeah, so then if in case I want to commit, I'll just come and say git commit m, then I just come and add here something. So let me just come here. So now I've made a commit. One time I as well want to reckon here that commits are very important for us. Yeah, commits help your fellow developers to follow along what you've been doing. So after doing that, then I can come here. All these commands are given to you when you initiate a new repo. So I just come here, then after that let me just copy this. Yeah, then after that I push, which is the last bit of it. Yes, I remember telling us that you can have many branches. Yeah, so it's always very crucial for us to know what branch we are working on. Yeah, so Washington. So then after that you add your password, and then those are the commands which are generated. So those are the comments, those are those are all the commands you need to push your work to GitHub. After pushing your work will appear on GitHub. So do we all know how to obtain a GitHub password? So after putting your work there, or any questions at this point? Okay, so if at all no question, I just wanted to do that GitHub recap for a few people. So yeah, so as well some people requested that I do a small recap on ownership. Did everyone grasp? Keith, did you understand ownership? Because some people requested. Maria, did you understand ownership? Yeah, the session is going to be recorded. Every session is going to be recorded. Okay. Yeah, so just like any programming language, so Cairo, just a recap, Cairo is built on top of Rust. Yeah, so it borrows quite a lot of concepts from Rust. And yeah, Cairo is the language behind the Starknet blockchain. Yeah, so just to show us something that destruction can happen in various ways. That a variable goes out of scope, and when a variable goes out of scope, that means it's no longer used, and so that means, for example, if it's a struct that is storing member details, maybe details of a member. In case it goes out of scope, that means it's no longer used, so we have to get it out of memory. And also when a struct is destructured, yeah, so as well a struct can be directly destructured, and then also, yeah, so it can be destructured using the destruct function. Yeah, but just to, so uh let me just open my VS Code right here. So to open your VS Code, you just say code. So for Windows, you just open it manually, but there is a way Linux makes things easier for us to understand. It's easy to use. So let me present my VS Code. Yeah, so that's how the project looks like. So the default files which come alongside it, we have the lib.cairo. So now this lib.cairo is like the main file, yeah, for execution of the project. Yeah, so in case since we don't need a lot of stuff here, so we're gonna delete all this. Yeah, so we have the lib.cairo file, we have a scab, so we have the scab.tml file. So this is for dependencies. Maybe there are certain you've installed some things in the project. Simon, you're welcome. Simon is our friend from Zambia. And then we also have Maxwell is our friend from Kenya. So Maxwell, you as well welcome. So the lib.cairo is a driver file. So I'm just gonna repeat this ownership thing a little bit. So to comment in Cairo, you just use just like how you comment in JavaScript. Yeah, it's just like how you comment in JavaScript. So Diana, you're welcome. So how you comment in JavaScript, it's the same way how you comment in Cairo. So you use, for those of us who have just joined us, we are covering Cairo. Yeah, it's just a small recap of the previous session. Yeah, so yeah, our sessions have been going on, and this is the first session. And as well as I said, at the end of this bootcamp, which is ending next week, yeah, so every session is recorded, and I happen to share the recording, the playlist in the group chat. Yeah, so feel free to check on our previous sessions, and even after recording this session, we shall as well put it right there. Yeah, so I'll come and be like ownership in Cairo. Yeah, so just like if I told you you've written some C or C++, if I told you you've written some C or C++, there is always this main function, and this main function is strictly like a driver function. It manages everything. Yeah, so that's Cairo. So this is Cairo, but it's a similar, as I said, Cairo is built, it borrows a lot of concepts from Rust, the Rust programming language. So as well in Cairo, to write a function, you just say, for example, let me call this function of mine, let me call it check ownership. Yeah, Yeah, so I can give it any arguments. For example, here, so after every variable I write, I must give its data type. So if at all as well, let me give it an unsigned integer 8x. Yeah, and how, so in case, let me introduce to us something right here. Let me say let x equal to 10. Let me just say y. So just like also in Rust, after writing, we are supposed to 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 add the semicolon. So now, guys, the scopes help us to tell ownership. So if here I come and tell us let y equal to 12, these two scopes are different. The first scope tells Cairo that y is equal to 5, and then when you go into this second scope, it tells Cairo that now y has a new value, which is 3. So I just wanted to bring out that small bit on ownership. Yeah, so I can decide as well to have two print statements. How we print, just say this. It's not new if at all you've been programming before, similar to C++. So in case I can come here and say value of y is, and then I come here and print y. So if I as well I come and say here print ln, so now if at all I come here and say print ln, the value of y is, so these two y's are different. The first y is in a different scope compared to the second y. So this first y, yeah, is 5, and then this second y is 3. So that's something a little bit to tell us about ownership. So that's the first scenario where we can see ownership. We're gonna and we really need to, we are gonna be using ownership a lot, like quite a lot. So it's very important for us to understand it. So after understanding that, now I want us to get as well to see something here. So let me call this, so I said how you write your comment, you use the double slashes. So then let me come here and say ownership part 2. Yeah, so when I come and say yeah, ownership part 2, I just come, let me come and write here ownership. So just a function, you can give it any name you want. Yeah, so I can come here and be like ownership part 2. Yeah, so a function is still determines any name you want to give it. So if you want to give it any name you feel like, it's upon you. So if at all I come and say here let me give as well x. So after declaring an argument, you have to give it its data type. So when I come and say use 6 here, so if at all I come and then as well I be like let x, but maybe here, so let me create a new struct. Yeah, and let me, how we create a struct is similar how it is in C++ and C. So you say struct name. Let me call this struct member. Yeah, so a member can have a name, and the name is a string but here a string we call it a byte array. That's if it's a long string. Yeah, and then a member can as well have an age. Yeah, so age is always a number, it's an unsigned integer, so age can be u8. Yeah, so then let me come here and say let me call this member 1. Yeah, so I'm passing an argument, yeah, to our function right here, and I'm saying this member 1 is going to have maybe another name and an age. Yeah, so I'm writing this member right here is like a base, it's like a basis for our member, so the others can be instances. Yeah, but the disadvantage with writing it this way is that I'm creating member 1, but I'm calling the whole struct, and I'm storing it in data. Yeah, so the disadvantage with this is that this is consuming a lot of memory. Yeah, and yet with just like to understand, if at all you've written C, maybe C++, or even Rust, you are looking at how can I not use a lot of memory, because the less memory you use, the better. So this is referencing this member right here. Yeah, but as we have said, this member is consuming a lot of memory. I remember in our previous session I explained something to do with pointers. So if at all you've worked with pointers in Rust and then also in C, they are there. So what pointers help us is that pointers are like reference to these things. So in case I have a struct, I don't need to store the whole struct in memory. I can just get a reference, yeah, to this struct, and it's what I just create a pointer. So a pointer is a reference. Yeah, so how these things are stored in memory, just take an example of a number line. You have a number line, and on the number line you have maybe you can get a positional, the location of every element which is on the number line. So that's the same way I want us to understand pointers. So when I have a pointer, for example, if at all I have a coordinate like 25, yeah, so 25, in case I need the person, in case I just have 25, I can get by using 25 as the coordinate, I can locate where that person is located. So I don't need to store this exact person in memory. I can by me using the pointer, I can get them. So that's what pointers are. Pointers are just references. For example, here I'm having member. So I don't need to store all these details about member. So in member there is the name and there is age, so I don't need to store all these details. So how we use so in Cairo they are called snapshots. Just is the name which differs, but in Rust they are called pointers. So I just need to get a snapshot to member. So by me getting that snapshot to member, I can access what is in name, what is in age. Yeah. So then I can be like, yeah, let member dot, okay, let me see now, okay, let x. So now I want to access name and age because I've referenced member by using the snapshot, which is like a pointer. It's a reference. So when I say let x or let new name equal, so now we have referenced member, yeah. So now we need to unpack member to get the name and the age. So how we unpack in Cairo, we just say member 1, because in this case it's member 1 dot name, yeah. So now member 1 dot name, yeah, member 1 dot name, it gives me the value of this name right here, yeah. So then when as well I want to say maybe oh, there's something I've forgotten, sorry about this. So remember I said member is now like a basis, yeah. It has defined a member is supposed to be having a name and supposed to be having an age, but now I didn't create like an instance of member. So this was supposed to be so let me call this member 2, and member 2 takes in. So now I'm creating an instance. So name, let me say name, let my name here be Jose, and then here age, let me say 90, yeah. So now I've created an instance which is called member 2, yeah. So now when I come here and say let new name equals member 2, yeah, dot name, it means because I've created an instance of member 2, and member 2 is following the member struct. So member 2 has a name which is Jose and has an age which is 90. So when I come and say let new name equals member 2 dot name, it means new name is this one here, yeah. So I just wanted to bring to our notice just like how we use pointers in Rust. So in Cairo I said they are called the snapshots, yeah. So right here I'm using a snapshot, so that means I don't need to store the whole member in memory. I just need to reference to this member, yeah, and then I can use this operator right here, yeah. So I can then use this operator right here to get the value of that. So hopefully that is clear. Any questions at that point? To make it a change, in case you want it to be direct, let me call this member 5, and then you see let me call this Maria, and then let me call this 100. So this is Maria. Or you can use struct can mean to be anything. You can have anything as a struct. It can be maybe a number. You can just what you expect. I just wanted to show us. So let that be like that. Yeah. So now in this case, member 5, member 1 is referencing member 5. Yeah, so when it references member 5, yeah, and I come and say member 1 here, and I come and say member 1 here, it means member 1 is getting this 8 because I've referenced it here. Yeah, so that's, I just wanted to bring to notice of how we can use snapshots and these snaps. So I don't need to store this whole, I don't need to come and add it here. I don't need to come and do that. Yeah, I can just reference it and get whatever is there, and then I use it. So we are going to use it a lot. So meanwhile, let me go back to our documentation. Guys, in case you have any questions for them, you can just type it in the group chat, or you can just unmute and speak out your question. Yes, I've talked about variable scope. So you can follow along this.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Yes, hello.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, thank you. I'm saying when you change the variable instances up there in the struct, why is it still underlined in red?
Okay.
It looks like they're missing types. Does that affect us reprinting them down this side?
Let me see what you are. Yeah. Yeah, it was, this was supposed to be a type. Yeah, so this was supposed to be, maybe this can be a U16. You're right. Let me maintain this as member, because I wanted this to be a base struct. And then this is supposed to be, maybe you can give it U8. Yeah, so this can mean, yeah, there were supposed to be types. Yeah, because you're supposed to first have a base struct, yeah, to create an instance. You're supposed to first have a base struct. Yeah, there were supposed to be types. So, but all I wanted to put across, so to see whether you still have an error, when you place your cursor on this red highlight, it will show you whether what error specifically are you having. Yeah, something like that. But I wanted to show us this and how you are saying line 25, is it number or name? It can be anything. I just changed. Yeah, your struct can be anything depending on what you want to use it for. So I just changed. It's number, and the number I've changed it to unsigned 16-bit integer. So, but I was just giving a scenario. But you just, it's just like, this is just like how you for example, in Python, how you construct a class, and your class, maybe you are constructing a class person, and the person can have a head, can have hands. So it's just a similar thing right here. How you understand, like when you are constructing a class in Python, is a bit similar to this. Yes, Keith.
Yes, and thank you. Am I audible?
You are very audible.
Okay, thank you. My other question is about the type referencing. What happens if holding a bigger, if down this way in, let's say the struct has a character as a name, like char, then down the side I'm holding a string, like a byte array.
Okay.
What would happen? Like, do I need to
you'll get an error. It will give you, there is a certain error which is called it's a memory overflow. When you see such an error, it means that's what you're doing. For example, if at all so in terms of bits, if at all I have an unsigned integer, U8 is the lowest and U256 is the biggest. So if at all I've assigned an element, for example in this case in my member, my element number, yeah, if at all I've called it U16, and then I come, let me show, let me come here and say let me is equal to, so it's referencing the member, yeah. So then let me say here, so if at all I come and say number, and then I come and give it a number like this, yeah, it has to complain, because I told, when I was creating the structure, I told it that that's not the data type you're supposed to expect, yeah. So when it reaches compile time, it will complain. Even age, if at all I give it now an age like this, it has to complain. So when you see that, it means, when you see some sort of like overflow, it means it's because of that. It's what you declared it to be is smaller than the value you gave it. So it's just like getting a 20-liter jerrycan of water and fitting it in a 1-liter jerrycan of water. So you have to have an error. So that's the same thing right there. So hopefully it's clear. Okay, so let's proceed. And as well, we've looked at references and snapshots. So guys, we are following the Cairo programming book. I shared it in the group chat, so you can just go there in case you need to check it out. It's what we are following. It's the official documentation. So it has everything, but we don't necessarily follow everything as per the book. Yeah, so as you can see, this is kind of similar to what we're doing. Let's see this a little bit in practice. And yeah, so in case we have a rectangle, or in case we have a square, yeah, a square has a length and then it has a height. So length, let me give it a U8, and then a height, it as well be a U8, yeah. So how do we find the area? So let me say area of a square, yeah, it has to take in so it's referencing, yeah, so we are taking a reference of, okay, let me do this. So it's taking a reference of the square, yeah. So now I come here and say remember, area of a square is a squared, yeah. So any side that I take is the same, right? Since it's a squared. Even I don't need to have all of this here. I can just have here one side. Let me call it side. So then I come and be like, so side. So this is, so we have to, now square has what this. So now I have to come and say square dot, because we are unpacking, square dot side times unpacking, yeah. So we are, because we need squared, yeah. And how we square is, for example, if I want to square 2, is 2 times 2. So guys, is that clear to us? Have we understood this right here, which I'm trying to do? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, but my code is complaining right here. Okay, there was an issue here. Square dot side. Yeah, then that's correct. So now let me come to my main function here. So when I come to my main function, so when I come and select x is equal to square, and I come and put here side, so now I'm creating an instance of a square. So now I give it a side maybe 10, or let me give it a side 3. Yeah. So now when I come, if I need, in case I need area, I will just come and be like, let area equals area square, yeah, and then I have to put in a reference to x, yeah, and then when I come here and be like this, the area of the square is, and then I come and say this, and then I come and say area here. So this is supposed to give me a correct answer, but my I'm getting an error right here. What am I doing wrong? I'm getting an error here, so that whenever you see a red highlight, is you start to watch over. There's something probably you're doing wrong. Okay, I think I realized my problem. Yes, I didn't give return type. Yeah, so you're supposed to give a return type, so it will be a U8 as well. The return type right here will be a U8. Yeah, so now everything, so it's saying the main function is defined multiple times, so probably I had another main function. So let me go and delete this. So now it should run without any error. So now you can see, guys. So what is this saying? So it's saying variable is not dropped. Guys, this is very, very, very important. After creating every storage type, you're supposed to drop it. If at all you don't drop it, it's going to stay in memory and it's going to consume memory. So that's why we are supposed to drop whatever we have created. So if at all you stopped using it, yeah, we are supposed to drop it after using it. Yeah, so that's the error I was getting right there. So to drop it, so since it's complaining actually on the variable non-dropped, and variable is just an instance of square, so I'm supposed to drop this one here. And how we drop is you just come here and say derive. So in derive is what we use to, so drop is a trait. We are gonna look more on traits in details. Yeah, so this is a drop trait. It's what we use to drop. So now if at all we stop using the struct square, yeah, it won't stay in memory, it will be dropped. Sometimes the complaint is because that your computer is still, the compiler is still processing it. Plugin diagnostic unknown derived drop. Okay. Any questions in at that point? Any questions, guys? Feel free to raise any questions you have. Okay. I'm going to go straight into now Starknet. Smart contracts in Starknet. Guys, I urge us to, whatever work you do, please ensure that you push your work to GitHub. Yeah. Just imagine you've lost your computer, so I urge us to ensure that we push our work to GitHub. So now let's go to smart contracts on Starknet. Yeah, so yes, Keith.
Yes, what page is that in the Cairo programming book?
So the page is under smart contracts in Cairo. Have you been able to trace it? Okay, you can give me a thumbs up if at all you've been able to trace it. So for some first time people here, so literally what we understand by smart contracts is smart contracts are like if at all you are from a web 2 background, there is a common term known as APIs. So an API is an application programming interface. So if at all you've written a web application and some bit of it is in React, the other bit is in maybe Node. Maybe the front end is in React and the other bit is in Node. So the API is what connects the front end. The API is bundled in the back end. It's the API we use to connect to the front end. So similar to smart contracts, the term smart contracts, just to understand it as smart contracts are programs which are deployed on the blockchain. So just like how your back end is bundled into an API, so that's the same way a smart your back end for your dApp you are maybe writing, that's the same way it's bundled into a smart contract. So that's what we need to understand as a smart contract. So we are going to look at smart contracts. So everything as one, I repeat and be like, everything is bundled into a smart contract. Everything that we are writing is bundled into a smart contract, and this smart contract is what is getting deployed on the blockchain. So just understand it in that layman understanding. So now since we are writing, we want to write maybe an application which runs on Starknet blockchain. So we need to bundle it into a smart contract, yeah. And this is a smart contract which will get deployed in a node, and then a node is like an entry point on the blockchain. So I just want us to understand smart contracts as that. The key things to note about is that how can I store data on the blockchain, and then as well, just like if at all I will use a reference of Python. So if at all you've written a module or if you've written a package and you've published this package on the package manager, on the package manager, so if at all I want to use something from your package, yeah, you must have made these some modules, yeah, which harbor these functions. You must have made them public. So this is the same case. You can have internal. So when you make them private, it means I cannot fetch code from it. And then also there are events. Yeah, so events in smart contracts, they help us to, for example, if at all you've connected your smart contract and front end written in React, so an event is a simple scenario of an event can be a case whereby maybe after a user has finished registering, you need your smart contract to do something. So that's how an event can be. So if after maybe a user has finished registering, tell your smart contract to trigger an event. So that's an example of an event, and we are going to look at them a lot in our, either in this session or in the next session. We're going to use them a lot because they solve a lot of our things. So they best help on when you're connecting your web, your front end to the smart contract. So how we store, so in case I need to store anything on the blockchain, so let me go ahead and create a new file. Let me call it new smart.cairo. So let me delete whatever is in this. I need to delete it. I don't think I need to delete whatever is there. So how to declare a smart contract? It's supposed to be a module. And so when you're declaring it as your smart contract, you're supposed to add here let me try to use my IntelliSense here. Okay, let me just find the reference here of something. And to show us a practical scenario. The storage is like a structure. So whatever thing we need to be stored on the blockchain is what we put in the storage. Is whatever thing we want to store on the blockchain is what we put under the storage. So let me show it to us here. I was looking for something, I found it. So I was looking for this right here. So this is how you declare your smart contract. So you because it's supposed to be a module, so that's why it starts with the mod keyword, and then by me saying this, I've declared it as a contract. Yeah. So when you do that, yeah, and then it's a must that every contract is supposed to have a storage structure. So a storage is like everything you want to be. So just imagine you are creating a database. So you can for you to maybe to have a good CRUD app, it must have a database, and the database is you who structures it. You can be like, my database is going to have a name, it's going to have an email, it's going to have a phone number. So everything that will be stored in the database is the same thing here. Everything that I know that is going to be stored in the blockchain, or what we are going to be manipulating, is what is stored in the storage. So also here, so this is how I declare it. So Starknet, the Starknet B doesn't need to be there. It's just storage like this. So when I write that on top of my struct, it means I've declared this as my storage. So whatever data, for example, if at all I'm writing a smart contract, that a decentralized application which is going to be registering every new member, and I need to capture the name of this member, so I can just add name, yeah, and the name is going to be maybe a byte array, yeah. And then if at all I'm as well capturing the phone number, so I can make the phone number very long. You know it can never be a negative, so let me call it a U256, yeah. So this means that whatever, because my decentralized application is going to be storing member details, so I know to retrieve the member I'll have to get their name and phone number. So that's how you can determine that this is what I need to store, to put everything that I put in the storage struct is what is needed to be stored. It's what I need. It's what is needed to be stored in my blockchain. So, any questions about that? Guys, any questions? Are we good? You can give me a thumbs up if at all we are good. Okay, let me proceed. So now, after knowing what you are going to be manipulating, yeah, so you come right here, now you come and start to write your logic. So the logic is in the functions to be written. So if at all you've written some TypeScript code, yeah, there is something called interfaces in TypeScript, and it's similar to traits here. So I have to first come here and declare my traits. So this is how you declare your traits. So every function that you need to be written, you have to declare it in a trait. For example, there are two very important functions in a trait, and that's the set. Yeah, so the set takes in a reference. So there are two very important functions, and we have so the set is used to set. It's just like a post request, and a get is a get request. Yeah. So let me leave it at that, and then also here let me say get. I'm going to explain it in a few minutes. Yes, I'm going to explain this. So guys, for example, if I write my code like this is supposed to be taking in a thing. just a minute. Let me first finish writing this. Yeah, so now this is my trait right here. So I want us to understand the trait as so if at all you've written TypeScript code before, so a trait just is similar to an interface in TypeScript. Yeah, so in case maybe I've forgotten to add the one for set. I need to add the names here. Set, this is set, and this is get. So you can see that I have the set. So the set, I want us to understand it as the post method in Web 2. So in a post method, you're writing something onto, maybe in case of Web 2, you're adding something onto the database. So for a get method, you're retrieving something from the database. So that's the same thing here. So I want us to follow this conversion here. It's using a reference. So for me to use a reference, the difference between this, the snap operator, the snapshot, and this is that I use this as a reference if at all I want to mutate the thing I'm referencing to. In this case is this, but I use this, yeah, to reference this object in case I don't want to change anything. So this, when I use this, it means my state here is mutable. When I use this, it means my state here is immutable. It means I cannot change, I can only get when I use this. But when I use this reference, it means that whatever I'm referencing here, I can be able to change it. So that's the difference. Because in a set method, you can make a change, you can change something, but in a get, you only need to retrieve. Yeah? So now, after writing your trait here, I can come and do this. Yeah. So guys, you can see one common thing we are that is over mentioned here is the contract state. So the contract state means, it means the contract state right here means the blockchain. Yeah. So in this case, the state, you know, the blockchain has a state. Yeah. And this state, every time we are adding a block to the blockchain or removing a block to the blockchain, we are adding, when you add a block to the blockchain had an initial state which maybe was 0. Yeah. So in case anything was done on the blockchain, yeah, and maybe an activity, maybe a transaction, you have added something on the blockchain. Yeah. So in case you've made you've made a transaction, that's called a set method, which is like described in the trait we've just written. So the contract state refers to the entire state of the blockchain, which is, so when I say contract state, it means I'm referring to the blockchain. So please don't get confused about that. Now after writing that, you can come here further. So let me come and copy some code there. Okay. Now just I want us to understand that like a trait was helping us here to declare the functions, but now in this block here, the implement block, is where you come now and define. But it has to follow the same code structure. It has to follow the same structure. So we have a reference. So at this point I don't want it to do anything. Then I'll come to my get method. So my get method was taking in so it's a self first. Contract state, but again it was taking in a name. Yeah. A byte array. Yeah. So it returns a name, which is a byte array. It's supposed to follow this structure, right? Yeah. Then I come here and be like, so what name is it returning? So self, which is now this entire smart contract, self dot read self dot name. Yeah, so it's returning us something. So we are supposed to read the value of the name. Guys, any questions at that point? So you can see at my set method, the set method is supposed to follow the same, it's called a signature, like how you've declared the set method in the trait, it's supposed to be the same method there. And then in my get method, yeah, I said that it's, first of all, the get method is not changing anything in the blockchain. And here, because we want it to return a name, we have to provide the name as an argument. And yeah, you can see that my set method is not doing anything, but this method is returning a name. So this name, yes, please go on. Someone raised the question.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Keith.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are very audible.
Yeah. Thank you. My question is about the set method. Okay, I understand updates abstract it to have a body. Why is it again down here in the implement part? Why isn't the set method having a body? I thought it should have.
No, it's not a must.
At least
it's not a must. I may not want it to do anything, but in case I want it to do anything, I can still tell it. I can still add the logic there.
Okay, thank you. Then another query is on the first. Help tell me what that means, like having hash and then square brackets and something inside. Because
no.
Having it here, it's like in an abstract way. Help me understand it, please.
Okay, just to explain that, it's just like a syntax in Starknet. When writing a Starknet Smart contract, let me ask something. Probably if at all you've written Python, let me ask you something here. There is something which is usually like USR bin Python 3, I think it's like that. It's usually at the first line of code. Could you explain to me entirely what that means? But so all these languages, yeah, all these languages have like it's some syntax. For example, when I add, so to explain it to you in a layman way is that I need to tell the compiler, the Cairo VM, that when I add this to module B without this, but when I add this, it means that I've now declared it as a smart contract, and when I add this, I've declared it as a trait. Yeah, so the trait is an interface, yeah, to a smart contract. So that's how I can explain it in a layman's way. Is it clear? Maria raised a query here. So Maria is saying, is line 5 different from line 20? Yeah, line 5 is different from line 20, but I've just decided not to add. So let me show us a scenario where I can add, maybe to clearly help us understand it. So I can decide to have something like this, yeah, then I can say to do self dot phone number dot entry. So I'm now writing, I'm like add something to the database, yeah. So how to do a write method? You just say self.phone number dot entry. You can just say self.phone number dot write, and then maybe but this must have, I must have added it in the abstract method. So for example, when I say new number here, yeah, and maybe it's a U256, yeah, so I can come here and say new number, yeah, and then I have to add it here as well. So Maria, I think you can now understand something. Hopefully it's clear now. So, yeah. So the other question Maria asked is, and if yes, please try to explain the implication as declared in line 20. So I want us to understand line 20 as the first. So line 20 is an implementation of line 5. Yeah, I remember explaining to us that the set method is like a post method. It's like a post method in what, in web 2, and then the get method here is like a similar implementation of the get method in web 2. So here, okay, thank you so much for understanding. So any other queries at that point? I believe all of us are in the Telegram group. I will share some trial bits from this session, maybe for us to go and practice. So thank you so much, guys. Yeah, guys, I've shared the attendance, so you can just click on it, and yeah, you record your attendance. And besides that, in case anyone wants to raise any question, in case there are no questions, guys, Thank you so much for being. We're gonna have another session. Actually, we have 2 more sessions. We are going to have one on Thursday, yeah, and then we shall have the last one on Friday. Then after which we shall be done with our boot camp. Yeah. So, but we're supposed to have 2 only Tuesday and Friday, but because there are some concepts that we haven't yet fully finalized, that we haven't yet covered, so I request we do one on Thursday and then we do the last one on Friday. So same time, 8 p.m. East Africa time. So thank you so much for turning up, and yeah, I appreciate your diligence and commitment to this, and I know the knowledge is really going to be important for us. So thank you so much, and I wish you a good night. So after recording this, we are going to upload it on our YouTube channel. So in case you want to go back and follow, you are going to find it there. So thank you so much.